across the band. Dial it in, you're in good hands. Yeah. This is SDR, turn it up, don't drift too far from the shack to where you are. You're tuned to SDR.
Hello, and hope everybody's doing well. It's been a little while since we've done a video, but been in the progress of building a logging application with a little help from Claude AI and a couple close friends, Timmy and Brent. Thanks, guys. And Murray for helping with some ideas and some suggestions and doing some beta testing. This application is still in a beta mode. There are probably still a few bugs that need to be worked out, and I'd appreciate if you load it up and use it, if you let me know. Try to get that worked out. It's a pretty interesting application. It's a little more modern looking than most of your typical logging applications, and let's just dive over into it and see how it works, how to set it up, and to use some of the functions in it. Let me get over to my main screen here. First off, if you use this with either Expert Electronics or Thetis SDR applications, it does have TCI in it, which was kind of one of the main purposes of the build to begin with. I wanted something that would connect with TCI, transceiver control interface, which I know I've ragged on EESDR before, but I will say it again, and I've always said this, that TCI has been one of the best things that Expert Electronics has ever released, the transceiver control interface. And thanks again, EESDR, Expert Electronics, for TCI. It is a very handy application that works very, very well. So, you're going to use it in Thetis. Obviously, most of you guys have probably already set up TCI in Thetis, but just kind of a quick recap before we open the logging program and I show you how that works. If you're going to use it with either Expert Electronics or Thetis, I'm going to demo it in Thetis here today. You want to go into your serial network MIDI cat panel. You're going to go to network. Make sure you have TCI turned on in here. Your ports, typically these are either 4001 or 5001. And you'll see where that is going to have to match in the logging program. The CW settings in here, because the application does have a built-in CW decoder and keyer. You want to make sure that you have these enabled, as well as the TCI spots. And we'll talk about the spotting application here in a bit as well. It will, as you can see in the background, when the logger's running, throw your spots up on the screen with a little country flag of where that spot is, and it will place them on the frequency where the spot is. So if you click on them, it's going to go to those frequencies in the spotting application via TCI. Same effect will work with EESDR and their application with version 3. It should still work on version 2 if there's anybody still running version 2. I don't know. I haven't stayed up with EESDR and their software anymore. But it should function over there just like it does here in Thetis. If there are any issues with that, again, please reach out, let me know, and we'll look into it. As I said, it's in a beta mode still, the application, so be patient with it. There are going to be a few bugs that need to be worked out. I've tried to work through most of them, and like I said, Brent and Timmy and Murray have helped me kind of go through most of those bugs, and hopefully we've got the major ones squashed, annihilated, and out of the way. So with that said, let's bring up the application itself. And before we do that, you're probably going to want to know where you can get it at. But this is kind of the overall view of it, of what it looks like. And like I said, it's more of a modern style. It's, I think, pretty clean, pretty easy layout, easy to follow. The main features are going to be on your front panel here, and we'll get into the settings section and the CW panel here in a bit. But to obtain it, it is currently out on GitHub. So you can go to the GitHub release page here. It's going to be GitHub, my call sign N8 SDR, with the number 1 behind it, and then / SDRLogger plus. The plus is spelled out in the application itself. It does use the plus sign, but websites, things like that, it's a little tricky with the plus sign, so it is spelled out on GitHub. And you're going to want to go to the releases, and then the current release is version .50, and it is a beta, like I said. Later today, I should be pushing out .51. A couple little cosmetic changes, nothing really major in that release that'll be coming out, and also it'll have a new feature in it. Well, actually, the 50 has the feature in it, but it'll be a good test with when the 51 comes out for those that do load up the application to see if the update notification works. So I'll touch on that here in a bit as well. All right, so that's where you can get the application at. Let's actually get into the application and go through setting it up. So it's pretty straightforward. We're gonna, let's minimize the CW panel here. And let me get over to the actual, make this a little bit easier here for us. Hopefully this works. Okay. So when you first launch it, close this. When you first launch it, obviously all this middle column, your QSL log, is going to be blank, and it'll probably start running through all the bands here well, no, it won't, because you don't have any DX clusters turned on yet. But once you get it loaded up and you fire it up, it's going to come up. It is a web interface. It launches its own little web server in the background, and it's all done through the code is written in HTML and Python, for those that want to know. The application will launch in a web browser. Doesn't matter which browser. It works with Chrome. It works with Explorer. It should work with Firefox, and probably Brave browser is another pretty common one. One thing to note, when you do fire it up, if you are asked about allowing audio or mic interfaces, I would suggest that you tell it yes. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, there's a feature in the main section here we'll touch on that goes and will announce hotspots when you list call signs in there, and it sees that those have been posted somewhere. It'll announce that for you and let you know. The other feature is the band opening notifications that are available for 10, 6, 2, and 440. So if those become available in your area in the distance range that you set for notifications for that, those will announce via voice over your browser. So when you first load it up, you're going to see something similar to this. Your call sign will show up here once you actually get this set. The first thing you're going to want to do, though, is click the little settings icon over here. When you hover over these, you'll see that they turn into a little diamond shape and they tilt. So go to the settings tab. This will bring up the settings page, and this page is quite long. There are a lot of features in here. I tried to make this a more robust logging program that is well laid out, but has a lot of features that most loggers do not. So the first section, you're going to want to put your call sign, your first name, and your grid square. You can use either the 4-character or the 6-character. Just a habit of me, I've always used the 6-character designation for the grid square. If you're going to use it with Thetis or TCI EESDR interface, you're going to want to make sure that you select your TCI host, which should be your local host, and your TCI port, which I touched on earlier. When you're in Thetis or EESDR, you want to make sure that this port number matches whatever you have set in there. Typically that is either 4001 and 5 or 5001, but you can set them to whatever. In here you can either highlight it and just type it, or you can use the number up, number down feature. Obviously that's a long stretch if you're going for big jumps. The next section will be your ITU region. This will set the notification pop-up. If you go out of band, the little message pops up at the bottom that'll tell you that you're out of your band region for your particular ITU. The application does support FLRIG, which is part of FLDigi. You can download just the FLRIG application itself. There is a link in here that'll tell you how to do that. It's right here. Download FLRIG, and you can control a host of different radios if you're not using TCI over it. You can also use it with HamLib. So if you're used to using HamLib, or you have HamLib installed, or you want to install HamLib, again, there's a link for the HamLib and a link to take you to some of the supported rigs in there as well. Both these applications work pretty well. I've used them with the 9100 on the logger and haven't had any issues. The modes seem to switch really well. If it goes into a digital mode and your rig supports like digital upper, digital lower, it should throw the rig into that particular mode when you click on a spot. Say it's FT8 or FT4 or RIDI, it should throw it into the correct mode. Again, beta, there may be a few bugs we need to work out on that, but I kind of worked through that with the 9100, which is an older rig, and that seems to be pretty stable now. The next section down is WinKeyer. If you're not using TCI for the built-in CW panel, you can key it via WinKeyer if you have a WinKeyer. So that settings are in here. You can select your COM port, your default word per minute, which I'll talk about as well, because this is variable. In the CW panel itself, there is a automatic feature to whatever you're decoding for the transmit side, the CW keyer side, to pretty much follow along that same speed. It'll vary a little bit, but it should get you in the ballpark. The next section down are QRZ lookups. So if you have a QRZ subscription, the XML subscription, you want to put your call sign in here and your password. All the password fields will mask after you put your your password in there, not call sign, but anything that has a password field in it will automatically mask for you so it's not visible. You can hit your test here to make sure that your call sign and your password application match what it has in QRZ. So if I click test here, you'll see that I get the OK, and it goes and looks just as a test for W1AW in the call sign, just as a test here. So there is a QRZ logbook apply, and note that this is on by default. It's in red, on by default. This will, when you log, automatically send that log QSO to your QRZ page. Okay. If you do not want that to happen, make sure you uncheck this box. Okay. Otherwise, every time you log a call, and if you have this set, it is going to go to your QRZ page. So if you don't want that to happen, make sure you uncheck the auto upload. Okay. Again, it's on by default, it's lit in red. You can test your API key here as well. Same deal. It should go out, test you that it's confirmed. Okay, that matches. You have, if you don't have QRZ and you want to do lookups, you can use HamQTH lookup, which is free. There's a link in here again, highlighted. You can click on this, it'll take you to the HamQTH page to get you set up with that. Again, test functions for your call sign and lookup, or your password, I'm sorry. You're saying lookup, but your password, you can hit test function here, and it should go out and tell you that, you know, again, it's going to use the W1AW as kind of a test to make sure that that is working, the function's working correctly. Next section down, you have LoTW. If you want to send each one of your logged contacts to Logbook of the World, again, this will require that you already have in place the eQSL program set up. I'm not going to get into that, but you're going to want to put your path and your location. So you're going to want to put your path to the TQSL, the trusted TQSL bin, the TQSL exe file. You're going to just right click on that application, go to properties, go to path, copy that, and you can do a paste in here, and that'll set that field. And then if you're doing designated locations, you're going to want to put your location name in here for whatever that is. Okay, and then you can turn on log QSOs up to LoTW as well. eQSL, if you want to send out eQSL or you have an eQSL account, you can enable this function. Again, there's the test credentials in here as well. You can turn on auto upload QSOs, so when you make a contact and it's logged, it will send it to eQSL. Club log, I fought with this, and hopefully I've got it straightened out, and it should be working now. So this will allow you to send log QSOs to club log as well. If you want to use club log, or you use club log, you just make sure you turn on the auto upload, and this will go individually. It does not do batch uploads. It will be an individual upload per logged QSO. Batch logs may come in the future. We'll see if it's even a feature that most people use. There was a couple recommendations for it, and we'll see if that actually works. Hopefully it does. DX clusters. DX clusters, you can list up to 4. You can actually have 4 of them active at one time. 3 of them are selectable. So you can put your DX clusters in here. Make sure you put the actual name, the full, address here, and then the port number. Note on cluster 1, if you spot from the front panel, there is a spot feature. The spot feature only works on whatever is listed in cluster 1. So say you have cluster 1 and 2 enabled in here, and you're pulling information from both of those. It will auto sort them so you don't get multiple listings of the same spot from 2 different sources. So it will go through and sort those out so that there's only one listed spot from those 2 available sources, or 3 available sources, or 4 available sources. But if you do a spotting function from the front panel, it goes to cluster 1. Okay. Spot hole is an API. This thing is, spot hole is killer. Thanks, Brent, for pointing this one out and finding it. I love spot hole. Spot holes become my DX cluster go-to. And spot hole will not at this time allow you to send a spot to it. There was a function I was working on in here that you could select either cluster 1 or spot hole. I did find out that submitting spots from spot hole at this current time does not work. But spot hole is fast. Spot hole is really quick at pulling up spots. They grab spots from multiple different sources. They're sorted and then dumped back out through their API. So you can set your spot age in seconds, how long the spot's out there for. And there's another section on the front where you can change this as well. You can sort filters by DX cluster only, cluster and RBNs, cluster plus POTA plus SOTA, and then you can do all sources, which are, obviously, that's pretty straightforward. It lists all the sources, or grabs the information from all the sources. There are multiple filtering options in here, so you can set your maximum number of spots that get posted in the cluster list, or they get posted if you're using, again, an application with TCI like Thetis or EESDR, so that those spots are posted on the pan adapter display as well. You can sort these by DX entity. You want to leave this blank for all of them. You can sort it by CQ zones. You can sort it by continents. You can sort by filter regions. There is an all spots. You can sort by North America, Europe, Asia, Oceania, so forth. So all those functions work. Then there is this, what I'm referring to as hot stations or hotspots. So say there's a bunch of, as an example, I've got a couple DXpeditions that are, I think some of these are still current, listed in here. You want to separate these out by a comma. So put the call sign of the DXpedition in here. If you're doing multiples, you separate them by a comma. And then when those spots are seen, it will highlight them in red on the cluster panel, so that you'll know that that's a listed hotspot that you had, and you can click on it and take the radio to that mode, that frequency that it's there. And it will also do a speech announcement as well. And this is why I said you want to make sure that you have that microphone application turned on if it asks you about that. I hate the way that Microsoft has done this, but that microphone application actually involves all of the audio input and output. It doesn't per se turn on your microphone. Nobody's going to be listening to you via the web browser. It is so that it dumps the audio back out your preferred output source via your computer speakers or headphones, whatever you have set up as your default listening device. Okay, so you can turn that on. This will only announce, so you don't get bombarded by the same DX spot when somebody, posts it, and then 5 minutes later somebody turns around and posts it again. So it will reset every 15 minutes. there's a cooldown period. It may do what we've done in the band notification opening and set this so it's a variable as well. That may come. I may do that in 51. We'll see. The RBN band opening alert. Now, this is kind of a trial thing. We'll see how this works out. I've got it set up for monitoring 10 meters, 6 meters, 2 meters, and 440 or 70 centimeters. It will listen for the reverse beacon network, and you can set this to whatever reverse beacon network you want. By default, it's going to use the general telnet.reversebeacon.net on their port 7000. And then you set your range here of how far out you want. So this is handy for like 6 meters, really. If a beacon sees or decodes a QSO or station, I have this set for 100 miles right now from my area, and you can change this between miles or kilometers. And it will do an announcement. It'll pop a message up at the bottom, and it'll also do, like it does for the hotspots, announce it over a voice via your browser that 6 meter opening, blah, 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 10 meter opening, blah, blah, blah. Again, there's a cooldown period in this. This is variable, so you can set this to whatever you want so you don't get bombarded. When 6 starts to open, it can get kind of active, so you don't want that going off all the time. You already know it's open. You can set that to how long you want it to wait between telling you again or that another band is open. Okay. This is based off your grid square, by the way. So for me, in Echo Mike 79 in a 100-mile radius, if there's a QSO that's detected by the RBN on one of these bands, it's going to tell me that these bands are possibly open. And you can select them individually or all together, whatever you want. So I did it mainly for 10, 6, 2, and 70. Obviously, a little common sense here, 15, 20, 40, 80, etc. are pretty much open for the most part. It's, this is going to be more handy for the guys looking for like 6 and 2 and 440 openings. I threw 10 in here because there are a lot of guys that like to know when 10 meters is open if they're on 40 meters or 80 meters or whatever. And 10 opens up. The next section down, this is where the switch was that I was referring to for letting you know if on the DX clusters which one to send the spot to. There is a confirm spot before. If you check this box when you go to spot, it is going to pop a message up asking you, does everything look right? And then you can hit yes, and it will post that spot. If this is off and you click spot, it's just going to send whatever frequency, that call sign, information out, the typical spot notice. Okay. Digital app integration, it will support if you're using a digital mode, say MSHV, which is typically my favorite go-to for I hate to say it, FT8, FT4, etc. If you turn on in those applications the ability to send via UDP, it will send that logged QSO to the logger itself. You'll see it show up in the log list. VarAC, which is another one of my kind of favorite, it's actually more of my favorite digital mode application. It's not just robotic. It's, you can actually have a QSO with somebody by typing back and forth via text, similar to RIDI. Although the functionality in ability for it to decode is more closer to, say, like FT8 or FT4. So that functions in here as well. You can do it by TCP server or the UDP port. Okay. For the guys that have the rotors that support automation via a logger, there is the ability to have this, turn this on. You want to put your host in here. If you're using protocols, the PST rotor, the AZU GS232 or EasyCom2. Most everybody that's using this is probably going to be using the PST rotor XML, and you want to put your port number in here for that. This will, in the panel when I go back to the front here, show you that there is a long path or short path. You can click on either one of those, and it will, on that cluster station, allow you to click that button and change your rotor to short path or long path. There is an azimuth display as well that was kind of buggy in the beginning, so I need some people to test that out and let me know if that's working. A couple of people that have used it say that it is working. It's getting smoother, and it's better than it was. So hopefully I can get some more feedback on that. To change your display font text sizes, there's a couple fields in here. You can normal, medium, large, extra large, and extra large plus, which are hard coded for font sizes to enable the display to be a little bit bigger for us older people that are having a hard time seeing on monitors, etc. The pan adapter spot color, this applies mainly to Thetis and EESDR, which will allow you again to post the spots to the pan adapter. You can set the colors that you want those to come up in. So you have a choice of Canyon red, white, and yellow. POTA. This is kind of a neat feature that I hopefully gets used. The POTA guys, I'd really appreciate some feedback on this, how it works, if there's bugs in it, what needs to change, any features that you would find that would be more beneficial. Just let me know. There is, on the front panel, I'll show you, there's an ability. This does keep two separate databases, one for general logging and one for POTA. So if you go out in the field and you want to use it, your databases are separate. They don't get combined. If you're using the same laptop, say, at home, and you take that laptop out in the field, the databases will stay separated for you. They don't get combined, so there's not going to be any issue of bogus stuff that gets screwed up. This also has an actual P2P, Park-to-Park in it, which, looking through a lot of logging applications and doing some research on this, was a feature that a lot of POTA guys really thought should be in a lot of loggers that isn't. So again, I'd appreciate some feedback on that. You can set up your POTA app in here. There's a link to take you to the page to set that up. You can put your password in here again and your username. If you put your park number in here from where you're activating at, and then down at the bottom here, there's going to be a save button. So you want to save all these settings. So if your park number changes, again, change this here, go back and hit your save down here at the bottom so that all saves. Okay. Backup and restore. This will back up your databases. By default, the standard database is placed in your Windows username, app directory, roaming profile, and then SDRLogger plus. You can make a backup, however, wherever you want to. So you can set this on another drive, a NAS, cloud, whatever. Just tell it where you want to put it, and then you're going to hit backup, and it'll send your backup to that. You can restore from this as well. Again, just hit your restore backup database, and it's going to ask you where that file is. You click on it, and then it'll import it back in here. Again, separated for POTA and the general logging. The export settings field and import settings field. This is handy. Like I said, it is browser-based application. So let's say Microsoft does a big update with their web browser and it clears out your cached file settings in your browser. Or let's say you're using Microsoft Edge, but you decide, hey, I'd like to try this out in Firefox or Chrome or whatever. If you do down at the bottom here, let me go back down, export settings, this will create a JSON file, and you're going to do an import then on your other browser, and it will import all the settings for this. This will import all of your credential settings as well. So you don't have to reset anything in the settings field. All of this is going to get pulled back up automatically by doing the import settings field. Okay. There is a server settings and software update notice. This is what's going to be coming. Actually, this is what is in the current beta, the .50. This will be handy for the guys that load this up now. When I do push the .51, this will go out to the GitHub when you first load it up, and every time you reload the application, it will look to see if there's an update available. If there is, and you have this turned on, it will allow you to, it'll post a notice up here, basically, is what it'll do. That up in the, I'll have to show you when we go back to the front panel, you'll get a little notice that .51 is available, and if you click on it, it's a hyperlink. You click on it, it'll take you right to the GitHub page so you can download it. You just run the exe file. All of your data settings will be saved. Your logbook setting database will be saved. It's just going to update it with whatever bug fixes are found and any new features that come out. This is long. I know I'm going through the settings section. It's taking forever. I'm sorry. There is an apply update, so if I do small little updates, maybe some cosmetic changes or things like that, I'll send those out in a zip file or attach that zip file to GitHub. You can grab those. You're going to, apply the update. Tell it when you click this, it's going to ask you for the location. You can leave it in the zipped format. It will uncompress it when you do this. Okay, it'll apply it and it'll tell you that update has been applied. There's a bug report tool in here, so if you're having problems with anything and it's flagging up with issues, or you just can't figure something out, it will not cache passwords. I will not be able to see any passwords or anything like that. None of the password credential fields are cached or sent in the bug reports. Okay. Just click the download bug report. After you've attempted to do what it is a couple times, it will grab that. As an example here, it's going to tell you, this is hard to see here through the OBS Studio, but it'll create a bug report here, and then you can attach that to an email to me or however, and I'll be able to import that back in and have a look at it to see what's causing that bug and hopefully be able to resolve it pretty quickly. Okay. Again, make sure you click the save settings. 2 ways to get to the help guide. The help guide is fairly long as well, just like the settings panel here. Let's close this one and we'll actually go up to the settings panel. Okay. Let me scroll back up to the top here. We're going to close the settings panel. The help guide. If you click the little book here, it'll take you to the quick help guide. You can do keyword searches in the help guide. So let's say you're wanting to figure out how to do the WinKeyer application. So if you type in WinKey here, it's going to tell you that, you know, that's mentioned 45 times in here. So if you click next, it should go to every time the word WinKey is mentioned in here. Okay. Makes it handy to kind of look through the help guide. There's also a jump to sections. So if you just want to know, hey, how do I set up DX clusters? You can click on the DX cluster setting here. It'll take you right to that section regarding help with the DX clusters. Okay. Get some more of this. Again, this is pretty long. It's pretty detailed. It's got a lot of tips in it, a lot of suggestions. So take some time to read through it. You can, if you want to, print it off. There's a print button up here. It will allow you to print off the help guide. You can get back to the logger page from up here as well. If you click the back to logger, I'm just going to scroll down here. By the way, this is coded underneath the MIT license, so it is open source. I will try as much as possible to make sure that any of the new updated code gets posted, as well as the release and the release notes, etc., to the GitHub repository. Every time that I do an update, again, it is beta software. They're, you know, outlined here that there may be some issues with some of the functions in here, so just be patient with that. Let me know if you come across something so we can try to get it straightened out. Okay, it is no warranty. There's no claims in here. I'm not affiliated with any of these third-party sources, the QRZ, AMTQTH, ClubLog, etc. Data privacy, the SDRLogger Plus runs entirely on your local machine. No QSO data, call signs, credentials are transmitted anywhere except the external services that you explicitly configure. So, you know, QRZ, the DX cluster, LoTW, ClubLog, you know, if you sign up for those services and you want those information pushed to that, that's your responsibility. None of that is going to be placed anywhere else other than the services that you suggest in here or that you turn on. Okay. If you want to donate, which I'd appreciate it, it is work in progress, though. I understand that there is a donate button. No, I'm not a big fan of donuts, really. I'd rather have coffee or a beer, but you can click the donate button down here and it'll take you to the PayPal link for that. All right, back to the logger. So this is what it looks like. When you connect with TCI, it's going to tell you if the rig is on, that TCI is live. If you're using FLDigi, it's gonna pop up here with whatever rig you have connected in FLDigi. The same with HamLib. There's a little badge that pops up and says HamLib, and it'll tell you, you know, it's connected via that rig model. At the top, there is a solar panel kind of index, and this is color coded. Again, this is all broken down in the help guide, so you can go through there and find it. If basically there's three colors here: red, green, and this yellowish or goldish color. Okay, reds are bad. I tried to make this pretty straightforward. If you see something in red, it's probably a good sign that, yeah, the band conditions probably are not the best. Yellows are marginals. Greens are good. If it's in green, it's probably, the band's probably okay. There is a band heat map up here as well. So this will look through, again, based on your grid square, what bands are mostly active in your area. If they're red, they're pretty active. Blues are fairly active, and this brownish color is kind of a medium active. Okay. So right now this is showing, you know, on these bands that there's that number of spots available for those bands. Okay. The DX cluster. This is broken down when your rig is on, whatever band your rig is set, those are the band, that is the band that you are going to see in your DX cluster list, okay? It's not going to show, if I'm on 20 meters, it's not going to show me stuff that's on 40. It's not going to show me stuff that's on 80. It's not going to show me stuff that's on 10 or 6, okay? It's going to be based on whatever band you are on. Again, you can change the number of spots you want to display here and the time breakdown, you know, when that spot was posted, okay? Up here, when you connect, it's going to tell you that, you know, how many sources you have active. It's going to bounce back and forth between these as it's scanning them. So I've got 2 sources connected. I've got VE7CC and Spothole connected currently right now. You'll see your mode, you'll see your frequency, you'll see the spotter, and then the call sign of the actual spot itself. Okay. Down below that, by default, you have your rotor panel. Oh, and I should have pointed this out. There is a reset panel layout button. You can change these around. You can drag these fields. They're all dockable. This whole panel is all dockable. The whole application is dockable. So you can drag these to wherever you want, resize the height column, the vertical layout. On the actual QSO log, you can size the width of this panel as well. So if you have a rotor and it's active, I don't have an actual automated rotor, so I can't demonstrate this, sorry. But it will tell you that it's active and it's live. It'll do the auto rotate on spot click, which defaults the short path all the time. Okay. If you want it to go the long path, you would just click, let me click a spot down here. So it's going to show you that, you know, there's the long path degrees. And if you clicked rotate long path, it's going to change that rotor to long path for you. Again, if you want to go to short path, you would click the short path. By default, if you have this auto rotate on spot click turned on, it's going to automatically go to the short path by default. Okay. And then the current azimuth should display here. Clicking these fields up here, if you watch on the left side of the panel, you'll see that it's pretty quick on pulling up your cluster information, you know, where that, the name, the address, and things, what mode it's in. So currently this is telling me that I'm in CW upper, and if I go to data, it should change it to data. For me in Thetis, I'll change it to data upper or digital upper. Okay. Again, and there is a little map down here that you can visually see, and it'll call out. Again, this is, you can select either miles or kilometers. It's going to tell you the distance from your location roughly to where that DX spot or the station that you're working is. Okay. It's a rough breakdown. It's not accurate. It's rough. Okay. It'll get you in the ballpark if you just want to take a guess of, you know, hey, how far was that contact? Okay. You can import and export your databases from here. It is an ADIF format. Okay. That's the only format that it'll work with, ADIF. The logger itself is an ADIF format, so if you want to export it to, say, POTA or whatever, you know, for your contacts, it is in the correct format for that application, as well as when you're in POTA mode, having the Park-to-Park designation in there, and, you know, their park number identity as well. Okay, so that is in there. You can switch that by up here in the top. I am in general right now. If I want to go to POTA, I would select POTA. You'll see that my database cleared because I don't have any POTA contacts. Okay, you'll get the little pop-up message that it's switched to that. When you're in a POTA situation and you want to put your park number in here, you can click the spot myself. Okay, this will throw you on the POTA app that most of the POTA guys use, and it'll, you know, spot you right there. So you can spot yourself from that. Again, everything else in the front panel pretty much works the same way. with the exception of, look, a true P2P park reference, okay? You get a park-to-park, you can actually list their park number right here, okay? Only fill in when the contact is also activating from a park, okay? That's the only time you need to put this in here. And you can put, any other remarks. The remarks field is also available in your general logging. I know this video is getting long, but there's a lot of stuff in here, and I think I've really worked really hard. A lot of time was spent in this. A lot of beta testing was done on the initial bugs, and hopefully, like I said, most of those are squashed. But there's a lot of neat stuff in this. I think it could be a very handy, robust logger. And as the name implies, it's an SDRLogger plus. It's not specifically for just SDR radios, but you'll see a couple of the features like, the ability to spot to a PAN adapter, to have those show up in there, some of the CW stuff, etc. But if I go back here to the general, I just moved my cluster thing up here. I didn't mean to do that. Come on, drag this back down. Okay, now I got my maps up there, and I want to put this back at the top, so I can just drag this guy back up here. I have to move the map down. Grab a hold, move down. Okay. All right. So let me go back to the general. I got my layout all messed up, but you'll see that the log popped back up. Okay. The remarks column, all that stuff is again available in the general logging as well. Okay. If your logbook's long, you can scroll through the pages by hitting the next button. If you want to do a search for somebody or a call sign or whatever, you can type that in up here. And it's going to show you all the times that you've worked with the modes, the bands, etc. If there's any remarks in there. Also, let me get this panel back up to the top. This is going to drive me nuts. Come back down here. This is being fun because I'm trying to do this. I'm watching in OBS Studio as well. This is not okay. So if I was to say work Timmy here again, or let's just do Brent. Okay, so if I type in 9BC and I hit tab, a little worked before box is going to pop up right above where you put the call sign in. It's going to tell you all the times that you worked him, what mode it was, the band, etc. Okay, so this pops up right here. You don't have to look anywhere else. If you worked somebody before, it's right here in front of you. Okay, if you, again, to get anything in here to populate, let me just use let's use Onder, the VK amp guy, VK3AMP, because I haven't put him in here yet. So if I type that in here and I hit either down here in the name field, it'll repopulate it and fill it in, or you can hit tab and it'll repopulate and fill this in. It is pretty quick. Okay, so it's going to it's going to show you the times that I worked Onder here again. So pretty handy with that. Let's pop over on the CW panel, okay? Just real quick here. Try to give you a little demo of how this works. Hopefully I haven't screwed this up, so why is this not showing up? Why is my CW panel not showing up in OBS? What have I done with OBS here? CW. Nice. Gotta love OBS sometimes. CW panel. Thetis. CW. Come on, go back over here. CW log plus CW. Why is my CW panel not showing? Well, let me go back over to monitor 1. We'll see if we can get it to show this way. Really wanted this to be blown up so you could actually see it. And it wasn't wiping out with the rest of the screen here. But there is a, if you click on CW, you'll take you to the CW decoder and keyer panel. Let me try this one more time here. 1 second. I'm just curious why this isn't popping up over here. Oh no. All right. Back over to monitor 1. Sorry about that. There is a CW panel in here that if you pop this up, if I'm in Thetis, again, this is another reason why you'll see a little, when you first launch this, the first time you'll see a little mic icon up here. You're going to select your input source. So in Thetis with TCI, I'm going to use TCI audio. Okay, and I can hit start listening here and turn Thetis actually on here. Sorry, this is becoming more of a cluster here. You'll see that there's a little window down here now. And let's make sure we're actually in CW mode. It's my panel again. I hate this, sorry. So you'll see that there's a little waterfall display here. So again, let me hit stop listening here for a second. If you are using, say, like an ICOM as an example, and it loads the, let me turn this off. We don't need this in the background. Okay. And ICOM loads the audio driver for the sound card, the built-in sound card, okay? You'll be able to select that codec. It'll show up as a codec in here. You're going to select that as the source, okay, where it's going to pull the audio from, okay? And then hit start listening here. All of your devices should be listed here, okay? If you see, and it's explained in here, if you see like some weird broken thing in here, it usually means that the browser has disabled the input mic sources. Go to the help guide. There's information on how to turn that back on in your web browser, okay? So let's try to find some CW. This is probably getting bad time of the day to do this. Looks like there's some down here. Okay. Let me turn my rig volume down so I don't drive you guys nuts with this. Really wish that pop-out panel would have worked the way it was supposed to in OBS. Okay, so there is a little waterfall display here. You can go to either exact, which if you click on this, will go you right to that frequency, okay? You'll see the decoder is starting to decode here. And again, this is still work in progress with this, okay? So the decoder's getting better and better with each new release of this, but be prepared. There's some things that need to be worked on here still. Again, it is beta release, okay? Well, this will start getting better here in a second. So there's the snap feature or the exact feature, and if you use snap, you can set the range of how far it is away from that it'll start to do the decode. So, you know, you get one that drifts a little bit, you can set this on auto frequency control. It's going to pick up on the strongest signal in this little waterfall that gets displayed here, okay? There is a This is not really necessary too much in, say, like Thetis or EESDR, where you have really good filtering for the most part. Let me turn this down again. Sorry. Need that over the top of me. So there, you can turn on a noise blanker in here. You can turn on this DSP, which will help some of the older rigs, especially like as an example, my old 9100, which the filtering is, I mean, it's there, but let's face it, that rig's old. It's 20 something years old. It's not like it is some with the newer rigs. Okay. So there is some DSP filtering you can do in here, and noise blanker, as well, to kind of help that out some. Okay. You can do a send down here. Let me go over to my dummy load just so we don't accidentally do something here. Actually, you know what I should do? I'll show you how this works with. Can I bring this up at the same time? Come on, panel. Yes, okay. So let's, okay, so I have this SP2, and I'm on the dummy load just for anybody that wants to know when I do this here right now, okay? And you can still see how sensitive the HL2 is. Okay, I'm on the dummy load, and it's still decoding this CW. And there's, I don't know, maybe 6 feet of coax in the shack here before it breaks and into the dummy load. Pretty impressive, okay? So I've got this call sign in here, and if I was to, let me bring this panel back down so you can actually see this, there is some built-in macros. You know, I can do the call here. It's going to throw that call in there. It's going to send it out. I don't know if you can hear that, but it is sending the code out. You'll see a TX sent window down here. Okay. An auto log in here, if you turn this on, if you send 73 in any of your macros, it is going to dump that right into your logger. So you don't have to hit log or anything else. It'll just do it on the fly. Okay. There is an auto match receive Windows words per minute. So if this is saying 29 words per minute and I turn this on, you'll see that notice that this is changing up here, back and forth. You can set a range, a minimum and a maximum range up here as well. Man, I really wish that damn OBS would have worked correctly. This is probably hard to see, but there is a minimum and maximum words per minute that you can set in here. You can, if it's a basic contest, and this is not a contest logger, period, okay? I don't want to make this a contest logger because it gets bloated with all kinds of stuff. This is a general logger, but there are a lot of times that, you know, the casual CW operator will work some of the CW things that may require a serial number, okay? You can set that up in here to automatically send the serial number. If you turn on this number function here and you've got it set in right here, the number call or macro, and you use the NR, it is going to send this, and when you send it and you log it, it'll go to the next number automatically for you, okay? The macros, if you want to change a macro or add a macro, there are some default macros in here, but if you want to add to them, you can go to one of the empty ones, and if you right click on this where it says empty, you'll get a little field that pops up. You have presets that are in here, so it'll populate, you know, your call sign, your name, and then if you want to pull the call sign and the name from the actual contact that you've made, okay, you can put the name in here. You just click name, or you know, like say you want to do this, you can put hello, whatever, you know, basically whatever you want to put in the macro, okay? And then you can add your RST in here, which will pull it from the RST field over here. Again, if it's a contest and you want to put a number in here, you can add that number field. So these are selectable in here as well, okay? Let me click on this one again. I didn't save it. So let's just say I want to rename this macro. You'll see that they have, you know, the QSL, CQ, or whatever. If you highlight or move your mouse above here where it, and this little box will pop up that says edit label. If you click that, it'll allow you to edit what that macro number is, or that name. Where you can rename this from macro 13 to, you know, whatever you want to call that macro. Just type it in there and it'll save it as that then. Okay. To clear these fields up here, you can hit the clear button. It'll remove the text. The same with the sent text. These boxes are resizable in here as well, so you can resize those boxes. You can, like on the panel section, change this to a bigger font for the receive and sent text. You can change the text color in here as well. There's a few choices in here, so whatever is easier on your eyes, whatever works for you. You know, I tried to make these kind of high contrast colors so that they stood out against the black background. Okay. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up. This has gone pretty long, longer than I really wanted it to. Again, you can find the SDRLogger Plus over on GitHub. I will put a link to it in the YouTube comments here. I'd appreciate if you at least gave it a try. I'd appreciate it if you'd give it a try and let me know your thoughts on it. Hope y'all have a great day. Like I said, it's been a while, and hope everybody's doing really well. And we'll see you on the next one. Hopefully, won't be too much longer off again. Well, take care and God bless.
Thanks for watching, my friend. Hope you come back again. Please like, subscribe, and share, and perhaps catch you on the air. 73 from Thetis SDR. Hope your rig doesn't drift too far. DX comes and DX goes. Like and subscribe so you don't miss a show.